we're going to be reviewing growth and decay today. So the growth formula is y equals CE to the KT. When we take this derivative with respect to time, dy dt would be equal, and we would write down the CE to the KT, and then we would do a chain rule on the KT, which would mean that we would add the K in front. But if you notice, we know that this part is y, right? Because that's the y formula. So we know that dy dt equals k times y. And k is what we call the ratio of proportionality. And if I was to read this, the only thing that's changing this year is the wording. This year, we'll say that the rate of growth, which is what dy dt is proportional to the amount present. So proportional means equals some constant. The amount present would be y. So anytime that we see this type of wording, we're going to know that we can automatically go to a growth formula. So to write the equation between the 2 points of 0, 1/2, and 5, 5, we're going to start with our equation, which we know is y equals CE to the KT. And our goal is to solve for C and for K. That's how we figure this out. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in my 0 and 1/2. So my 1/2 goes in for my y, and my 0 goes in for my t. But k times 0 is 0. E to the 0 is 1. So I know that C is 1/2. So I can rewrite my formula to be y equals 1/2 e to the kt. And now I got to solve for k. So now I'm going to use my other point. I'm going to use my 5, 5. So 5 equals 1/2 e to the k times 5. And my goal is to solve for k. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by 2. So 10 equals e to the 5k. And because k is in the exponent, I'm going to take the ln of both sides so that I can bring it down. We know the ln of e is 1. So k is 1/5 ln of 10. And now I can put these two things together and write my equation. So y equals 1/2 e, the 1/5 ln of 10 times t. We're going to do this again. This time I have 2 different points. I'm going to start with the first one. I write the equation. My pen will let me. And I'm going to plug in my 2 and 100. So 100 equals CE to the K times 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for C. So 100 over e to the 2k equals C. And now I'm going to use the second equation, the second 2 points. And what I'm going to do is have this y equals c to the kt, but I'm going to plug in this c that we just found, which was 100 over e to the 2k, into my equation. Now I'm going to plug in the 4 and the 300. So 300 equals 100 over e to the 2k, e to the 4k. And when we have e to the 2k underneath e to the 4k, I can subtract those two exponents. And so I get e to the 2k. I'm going to divide by 100, so 3 equals e to the 2k. I'm going to take the ln of both sides, so the ln of 3 is going to equal 2k. So k is 1/2 the ln of 3. Well, now that I know what the k value is, I can take that and plug it back in over here, and I have 100 over e to 1/2 ln of 3 is going to equal c. But 2 times 1/2 is just 1, so I get that is equal to 100 over e to the ln of 3. But e to the ln of 3 is just 3. So c is just 100 over 3. And now I put this all together and I write my equation. So y equals 100 over 3 e to the 1/2 ln of 3 t. So when we look at money and we talk about compound interest, if it is compounding continuously, then we can also use the exact same formula. 1,000 is invested at 12%. So 1,000 is my C. It is what I start with. And my K isn't 12%, but 12% we have to write in terms of a decimal, so K is going to be 0.12. And the first question asks, how long will it take to double? So I am going to take 2,000, set it equal to 1,000, e to the 0.12t. I'm going to divide by 1,000, so 2 equals e to the 0.12t. Take the ln of both sides. So my time is the ln of 2 over 0.12. Now we're going to use a calculator. And remember, you have to give me 3 decimal places. And so my answer is going to be 5.776 years. It asked me how much is left after 10 years. So I'm going to plug 10 in for my time. So 1,000 e to the 0.12 times 10. And because we're dealing with money, you will not give me 3 decimal places, but instead you will give me 2 decimal places, get out a calculator, and get your answer to be 3,320.11. So I have $500 that after 10 years will become $1,292.85. And it wants to know what the annual rate is. That means we're going to be solving for K. So $500 is invested. That means C is my 500. 10 years, so time is 10. And then this is going to be my Y because it's what I have left over. So I'm going to take my 1,292.85. I'm going to set it equal to 500 E. I don't know what my K is. That's what we're solving for, times 10. I'm going to divide by 500. And then I'm going to take the ln of both sides. And then divide by 10. And then I'm going to use a calculator. And my calculator tells me that this K value is equal to 0.094999624. And because I want the rate, I want it in terms of a percentage. So you can tell me that the percentage is either 9.499% or 9.500%. The next question asks how long it takes to double. So if I start with 500, to double means that I'll be at 1,000. So 1,000 equals 500 E. Now, I really don't suggest that you use this decimal. I suggest you use this accurate number right here because you have a calculator. If you round too soon, then your answer could be off by just a little bit. So I would wait and do it at the very end. So I'm going to divide by 500. So 2 equals E to the 1 over 10 ln 1,292.85 over 500t. Take the ln of both sides. Now solve for t. So I'm going to divide by this number here. And then I put that into my calculator, and I get an answer of 7.296 years. Okay, a certain type of bacteria increases at a rate proportional to the number present. Okay, because they talk about the fact about increasing at a rate proportional to the number present, I automatically know this is a growth formula. So y equals CE to the KT. If there were 100 present to begin with, so that means my C is 100, and 300 present 5 hours later, so how many will be present 10 hours later? So first things first, we need to start with the fact that there's 100 present and 300 present 5 hours later. So my C is 100, what I start with, but 5 hours later there's 300, so 300 is going to be my Y. E, K, times 5. Divide by 100, so 3 equals e to the 5k. Take the ln on both sides. So I get that k is 1/5 ln of 3. So I can rewrite my formula because I know everything. So y equals c is 100, e to the 1/5 ln of 3t. Now I want to know how much will be present 10 hours later, so I plug 10 in for my time. So 100 e to the 1/5 ln of 3 times 10. And you can use a calculator, and you get 900 bacteria. All right, a sample gram of radium. How much will remain after 1,000 years if the half-life is 1,620 years? So half-life is how long it takes for half of it to decompose. So if I start with 1 gram, which would be my C, then half-life would mean that I would have half of it left. E, I don't know what K is, but it took me 1,620 years to get that half. So I'm going to take the ln of both sides because I don't need to divide by 1. And divide. So K is 1 over 1,620 ln of 1/2. And it's asking how much I'm going to have after 1,000 years. So rewrite your equation. So I know that y equals 1 e to the 1 over 1,620 ln of 1/2 t. That's the equation that I'm going to be working with. And now I'm going to plug in 1,000. So e to the 1 over 6,020 ln of 1/2 times 1,000. And again, I plug that into my calculator. And you will either get 0.651 grams if you truncate. If you round, you get 0.652 grams. And then this is your homework that is out of your textbook.